Hi everyone, I'm Mark Ames. Welcome to 5 on the Frontline, produced by AIHA. This week we're discussing a dilemma faced by vulnerable essential workers who play a critical role in feeding the nation. We're talking about farm workers and heat stress. Our guests are Dana Stahl and Rick Gleason. Dana is a certified industrial hygienist and the author of Health and Safety in Emergency Management and Response, which will be released at the end of September. She has worked as an industrial hygienist, safety manager, and emergency manager in the public sector for over 20 years at the Seattle Public Library, Sound Transit, and the Port of Seattle, and as an instructor at the Pacific Northwest OSHA Training Center. Rick has worked as an OSHA inspector, a Washington State OSHA inspector, a consultant, and at the University of Washington over the past 42 years. He is a certified industrial hygienist and certified safety professional. He currently teaches in the graduate and undergraduate program for industrial hygiene at the University of Washington. He's also been the course director for the UW OSHA Region 10 Training Center for the past 25 years. Dana and Rick, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark.
Dana, farm workers are both essential and particularly vulnerable. What can you tell us about the hazards they face on the job?
So agricultural workers face many hazards, including chemical hazards from pesticides, other chemical exposures, falls from ladders, biological hazards. They also face heat stress. Heat stress is always an issue. Right now, agricultural workers are wearing additional PPE because of COVID. And this increases the heat load and their chances of developing a heat-related illness, such as heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So our bodies maintain heat load in several ways. When we're hot, our blood moves from our core organs to the surfaces, to our skin, and that helps cool our blood supply. Also, we sweat. That's more difficult when we're wearing PPE. And also when we're wearing respirators and face masks. We're wearing face masks in Washington right now because of the state mandate. But one of the ways that we maintain our temperature is that as we exhale warm air, and then the air that we inhale is cooler. When you're wearing a mask, the air that we inhale is warmer, and so that we've lost one of the ways that we maintain our heat control. So heat stress is definitely an issue in farm workers. And
so Rick, did you want to talk about some of the specific challenges that faced by farm workers?
Sure, Mark. A couple states have developed outdoor heat-related illness codes, and that would be California and Washington. Basically, they require that the employer has to provide water, and the employer has to provide shade, and the employer has to provide breaks. But I could give you an example where an employer did none of that and it resulted in a fatality. It was in northwest Idaho, a little town called Lapwai, Idaho. It was a large farm that needed 2 temporary labor workers to pick weeds in their wheat field in the middle of June at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So they hired 2 18-year-olds and drove them up the dirt road to the wheat field, put them in different fields, and had them pick weeds. All they had with them from 8 o'clock on was a 1-liter bottle of water each. When the supervisor came back to check on them, the first worker had run out of water and was experiencing heat stress symptoms, but he also hadn't been able to pick enough weeds. So he was summarily fired by the supervisor and told to walk back into town because he wasn't picking weeds fast enough. By the time they found him later that night, he had already died from heat stroke. And so when you don't do anything, that's the potential outcome. So you do have to have a program, you do have to train your workers, you'd have to provide water, shade, and breaks. Thank you.
That is absolutely essential information with soaring temperatures in this country. I can't think of a more important message to share. Thank you both for coming on the show today. I really do appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone for joining us. This has been 5 on the Front Line. I'm Mark Ames. We'll see you next week.